less painful.
Guess who went to Spirit
Oh,
Halloween?
look who went to Spirit Halloween. That is awesome.
I know.
Uh,
Actually, this is pretty great. I thought this was pretty great. I think it's
that
like
is pretty
$12.99.
that is pretty cool.
I
Yeah,
know, right?
I'm impressed. So very, very cool. So yeah, a bloody knife is perfect along with your Santa hat as we're doing oh, I gotta change this. Hold on here. Look at this. I'm doing horrible. You
And
know,
then to throw back to another old school wintry film,
oh
Black
yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah. Excellent. You're well, Katie, you are definitely dressed festive for our co-review once again. We're doing here. It's the final cut with the buzzed in front, aka formerly known as the blonde in front. We'll see if she gets the full locks back. Or I'm liking the buzz cut. I really am liking that
I am
look.
too. I think I might keep it.
That that look. You know, that gives you a number of options too. You know, so and I bet that Santa hat fits a lot better. So
Oh, I mean, everything fit. I mean, yeah, I get a lot of compliments on it. Yeah, I
there
went
you
nuts at
go.
Spirit Halloween.
Wow, you got all the murder weapons. So
Yeah, I got the clown knife.
you get the
I got
clown
the
knife, you got a bloody machete.
I got the ringmaster whip.
Oh, you got a whip. Okay, now that's too much information. I don't need to know that, Katie. Okay, no, and you got a even bigger knife. Wow, we used to have a Spirit Halloween by us, but the abandoned Shopko building that they finally tore down because they're going to be building a whole bunch of stuff downtown, and so they had to destroy the building. But that's where the Spirit Halloween was here when we had one in town. So I got to drive all the way up to Wausau if I want to go there,
Oh,
and I'm like, nah,
that's
I'm
not
good.
the point of Spirit Halloween. It's
No,
yeah, it's
no,
supposed to be. It's like, remember that store that used to be there? Now it's Spirit Halloween.
that's right. It's supposed to be like that surprise, like, oh look, oh cool, all right.
And it's one
Uh,
of those things that it's like, I went in to get a $3 spray
oh
for
that
my
yeah
hair. I
yeah
walked out with $100. I mean,
that
it's the target of October. That's what it is. You
see
walk in, I'm only going to spend this much. And then I mean,
yeah
all this stuff it just adds up that it's so inexpensive. I got this.
you
I
got
got
all
this.
kinds of cool stuff. That is
Oh yeah.
good.
You know
Wow.
me. I get the stuff and the things, Mark.
You,
I get the
you get the,
stuff
you get the
and the
stuff.
things.
You get the stuff and the things. See, and I'm bad enough with my vinyl, which I pulled out from the collection because it's fitting tonight. My vinyl copy of Cannibal Holocaust soundtrack. So
Ooh,
there you go. I
nice.
thought it was very fitting for tonight's film, which we are talking about. Yes, we did the minute review, but this, as we always do with these co-reviews with the fantastic Cati Glidewell, are spoiler filled. So you have been warned. And as you can tell by the title, we're talking about, gee, go figure, Terrifier 3. Who would have thunk that? Huh? If you haven't heard by now, it is the unrated film that took the world by surprise as being like a number one at the box office for a weekend. Man,
I
Katie,
think
if you would have
almost
told,
two, wasn't it? Was it
huh?
2 weekends? I know definitely one.
It was one. I don't think it hit this past weekend, but it did. I think it was like number two this past weekend. I'm not sure if it hit number one this past weekend. I think the first weekend it did, but it had a little more competition this past weekend with
Venom.
Venom. Venom, I think, took number one this past weekend at like over projected. It made more money overseas than they projected with Venom, which mad props to them. I'm fine with that. I have fun with the Venom films. They're ridiculous and plot holy, but they're so zany fun that I enjoy them. They're just a nice little break, and I like
I
Tom
per-
Hardy. So
personally, I like the CGI in the Venom
mhm.
films. I thought it's some of the best CGI in the past 3 years for Marvel. So I ain't mad at it. I didn't think the third was a turd.
No,
I coined that phrase.
that's no. The third wasn't the turd. It
No,
was fine. I think they could have done a little more different choices, but overall, I had fun. My son had fun with it, and Terrifier 3, we went to see, and yeah, I am torn because, well, I'm torn with Terrifier 3 because on one hand, I love the fact that Damien Leone worked for like 10 years from a grassroots, from a low budget indie with his Art the Clown, and it has moved up, and he's had some fortunes slide his way to where now you have Terrifier 3, which is the third installment in the Terrifier franchise and like the fifth appearance of Art the Clown. You know, people are talking about it because of its grotesqueness and the severe gore and all of this and that, you know, and people are blown away. And I guess I am all for it. I don't think these are bad films by any means. I have fun with them per se. I do have like a moment or a few in each one that pisses me off. Just because of what I thought the film was and what they did to surprise you or whatnot. But at the same time, like, ah, you know, and then there's the runtime with them. So, and Terrifier 3 nearly took a Freddy's Dead angle with it, but you know, almost not quite, but I'm talking about with like the cameos in that. But you know, I thought it was a solid slasher and fun. I wasn't blown away. What about you, Katie? What with the Terrifier series and specifically with Terrifier 3?
Well, with all the Terrifier series, there's one word to describe it, and it's overkill. I mean, you know, Art the Clown, he doesn't just kill, he like overkills to the point that it's like, okay, we get it, they're dead. I mean, it's seriously what it's how long are we gonna be here, buddy? It's like I don't know, I was telling somebody, it's like it reminds me of that Simpsons episode they do of Cape Fear
Oh
when
yeah.
Sideshow Bob's in the movie theater and he's like laughing and Homer's about to get all mad. He's like, hey you, and then he starts laughing and it's like, and then Sideshow Bob, it's like, oh come on now, that's, it's like, and to me, the Terrifier films, it's like, oh, come on now. Like, we get it. They're dead. You want to inflict pain. Mission accomplished. You did it. Now, I mean, especially in 2, you're literally pouring salt on it to like, it's like, okay, yes, they are. Good job. Good. You just, okay, can we stop now? It's like, can we move on?
Yeah.
Can we move? They're still dead. They're
Yeah.
still dead. And in
Yeah.
Terrifier 3, it then became well, I mean, you know, these films push the envelope. I'm not gonna lie. I know some people who walked out within the first 15 minutes due
Well,
to some things with children.
that's understandable because
Yeah.
they basically lop off and show the disembodied the completely chopped up body of a young child, which I'm with you. I'm like, it does push the envelope, and I'm sitting there. I feel bad. I'm giggling, going, I can't believe I'm watching this on a wide release movie. This is,
I mean, for me, it's like, wow, those are great
yeah,
practical effects. Like,
uh-huh.
well done. And I mean, you know, it's set in Christmas time.
Right.
I mean, other than the fact that Art's taking a little hiatus with his lady. And there is a scene though that, I mean, I can handle all the stuff in the film except the scene up in the attic when Art and, is it Victoria, kind of wake up from
Oh
their,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, like
uh-huh,
5 year slumber, or
yeah,
I forget how much slumber.
yeah. It was 5 years.
And Art's got his person that he's killing, and Victoria, who, if people are aware, she is the lone survivor from the first one. I mean, it's like, really, did you survive, girl? Like, did you? Is that living? I don't know.
I know.
And then she goes on to do her own things in 2. 3, she's a whole other entity. Then it's one of those things in 3. I mean, you are looking at her face 24/7. I mean, she's in it a lot.
She is
And it's
surprisingly a large amount.
yeah, and it's not, no offense. I mean, I am all for women, but it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. I mean, she basically, it's Art had completely taken her face off, and she's like got an eye that, I mean, there would have been like a veil to just to help with the liquid. I mean, we all know that. But the scene, this is, and here's a spoiler, kids, so be prepared. The scene that really I just like, nope, nope, is when they're in the attic of this house where Art and Victoria have been there for years. Art is like looking out a window in a rocking chair. Victoria's in this like decrepit, gross bathtub. And while Art is like completely flambeing or doing something, honestly, there's so many ways people die in this. I kind of forget. Victoria takes a butcher knife and sticks it underneath the hospital gown that she has, and then starts to like pleasure herself with the butcher knife.
Yeah.
And you don't see it, but it's like you hear it. Kudos to the sound effects for that, and also disgusting. But then also like bits of blood and chunk are coming down. There are a number. I went with some people who I'm, obviously up front, and they're in the back. And my friend was like, no, that, no, that. I was like, and my friend, I agree. I can handle a lot of the stuff. That scene was like, no, no. So well done. Well done that you gross me the F out. I mean, this one with the celebrity cameos is like quadruple, if not more, than any of the other ones. I mean, and I wrote them down. You've got Bryce Johnson, who I love from Popular. I remember him very well. You've got Clint Howard, you've got Daniel Roebuck, you've got Chris Jericho, you've got Tom Savini, you've got John Abrahams. Would have liked to have had a little bit more of the ladies with the celebrity cameos and all that stuff. And when I was going to write my review or writer blurb, I was going to say, it's like, oh, well, that's nice. They, got a Jason Patrick lookalike to, a guy, some actor who kind of looks like Jason Patrick to be Sienna's dad. And then I looked at the credits like, oh, that's Jason Patrick.
That is Jason Patrick.
Oh, what happened? Okay. So that's a whole other thing that, but it's like, they kind of touch on the fact that Sienna and, is it Michael? Sienna and Jonathan's dad kind of has this like, he sort of knew, or this power, he like in 2, he like had drawn the deaths that Art the Clown had done. He drew this, honestly, it is a really beautiful picture of Art the Clown. I have to admit that. And 2, that is gorgeous. Whoever the artist is, I'm gonna have to look like that up. Kudos to you. That is a beautiful look of, I think it's watercolor. Gorgeous. So you kind of know that for some reason whatsoever, their dad has some sort of like mystical power and knew about Art the Clown and what he was going to do. So in 3, it kind of turns that up to 11. And you see him like making the sword that he made for Sienna, and that's supposed to combat evil. And he did all this work and was like possessed to like make these things and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. And yeah, Sienna's been what happens when you survive a serial killer who kills, a chunk of your family and your friends. Of course, you go into a mental hospital because you need to. You do not need to be around people. You need to be talking to doctors and like girl, you've been through a lot. For some reason, Jonathan, though, he was able to go to college. I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
He dealt with
And
his therapy sooner than her, though he got his legs chomped on at the end of 2. I'm was trying to figure out how'd he get through, and then I mean, he kind of wasn't, but he at least covered it up better than Sienna, but it's still, you're right. I was like the same way. I'm like, wait, why isn't he still in therapy?
I mean, I think we all know if you survive anything like that, you're not going to want to be around people for a
Yeah.
good chunk of time. Like very secure walls and places, because yeah, there's going to be some stuff. Sienna, though, is allowed to go out to her aunt and uncles for Christmas, and and her cousin who likes her scars. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's weird, and also seems very inappropriate considering how she got those, but okay.
But at least
And
she had scars, so I give them props for
yes,
acknowledging that she survived and she had the scars yet from it. So
she
mad
did.
props there too. Mhm.
And I have to give the story credit. I mean, he comes out full blast in the beginning of the film. You've got Chrissy Fox. Oh, Chrissy Fox. Okay, so that's the
Mhm.
celebrity female that we have in the movie. She plays a mom of 2 kids and her husband. It's Christmas. It's snowing like a motherfucker. And their little girl is up. She wants to like wait up for Santa. Obviously, we all know, again, spoiler, there's no Santa. But Art the Clown makes an appearance. Luckily, the little girl is not in her bed, so good for
Yes.
you, kid. Unfortunately, her brother is not so lucky, who is like 9 or 10 years old. Ouch. Neither is dad, and then neither is mom. Luckily, we don't see what happens to the little girl because she is cute as a button. I think she's maybe like 5 or 6. So
Yeah.
I think they like towed the line on that. It's like, okay, hold up. We can't, yeah, we can't do
They
that.
knew just how far. Yeah, you could probably get away with chopping up one kid and showing the pieces. Two
Two,
is two is in your first 10 minutes. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, that's gonna be
two's
pushed.
crossing the line, especially since she's just, I mean, I just want to take
Well,
her home and put her in my pocket. You're just adorable.
and
Now,
especially since you're gonna blow up kids later too. So
well, and if you didn't notice, Mark,
yeah.
the toys that when as Mark said, when Art the Clown, who is dressed up like Santa, and they kind of skip around to that, like
Right.
there's scene 1, and then there's something else, and then we find out that Art like actually was beheaded, and Victoria had like helped him get his head back by sucking in some juice. I don't know. It was a weird scene. And his
It was very Elm Street-ish though.
Yeah,
It was rather like Elm Street meets Hellraiser in quite, because we
it
got
was
that
kind
at the end and of Terrifier 2 and it carried over then.
See, it's funny because I thought it was kind of Hellraiser meets Hocus Pocus,
Mm.
like Billy the Butcher, like coming to find his body and stuff like that. I'm like, what is this Disney? Did we just turn to Disney? What's going on? It's like that's not Billy the Butcher or whatever his name is. But you know, it's a movie. This guy can do any. Art the Clown can do anything, and when Art goes to the mall, which that just sounds like a movie in itself. I want to see that. When Art goes to the mall, he's dressed up like Santa. He's waving to the kids. He gets on the throne because Santa, has gone away to probably have a smoke break and eat lunch. And he has his big bag and stuff like that. And he's like giving away presents. Now, if you didn't notice, the presents that he's giving away actually go back to the beginning because those are
Right.
the presents that
Mhm.
those 2 little kids are supposed to have, which sucks even more. Not only were you butchered, but now someone's taking your toys and giving them to somebody else. That scene though is the one scene that does it's like the only, it's horrible because the adults are like, who is this weird looking guy? Obviously he's not Santa. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty, we don't need to really do the math on this. He's not Santa. So they boot him and his bag is still there. And the kids are going through the bag and then the bag blows up in a mall with a line. When I watched that, that was a scene that I was like, please, 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 no one be so freaking stupid to try and like, oh, I'm going to be this guy who does this and like recreates this thing. Because
Oh,
that was the one thing that I was like,
sure.
oh God, I can see some dummy just trying to get a name for himself and like, oh, Terrifier 3 gave me the idea. And then
Yeah,
before I did it, it's like, yeah, I think some other reasons why you did it, you sick F.
that's
Um,
a whole nother conversation in
yeah, that's a
itself.
whole other
That
conversation, but
yeah,
that was the only scene that I was like,
sure.
oh, please, please don't have some idiot, trying to replicate this. I really, really don't want that. But I mean, again, damn, no one is safe from Art the Clown, especially kids in this one. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, Santa is not happy. There's apparently been a lot of people on the naughty list, including Art and everyone he encounters. But, Art's after Sienna. Sienna apparently has this power that she's supposed to defeat him and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the majority of, or almost all of her family, spoiler, meet a demise. Some off camera, which I was very surprised about.
See, yeah. See,
Which,
now there's a theory that I've seen online that are saying that it wasn't actually Jonathan, even though Art says it's Jonathan. So part of me saying I want that to be true, but with the way the rest of this series has gone, and again, mad props to Damien Leone. Whether or not you like the decisions or not, and some of the decisions I don't like, he has gone against some tropes, and some of those tropes I really enjoy. So the fact he's gone against them kind of got under my skin because I was really enjoying it. That I'm like in the first one, I was really enjoying it until Art pulls a gun. And then I'm like, oh,
yeah,
I'm like, okay. In the second one, it was like, okay, we've made Art supernatural. I liked the little girl in the second one also almost more than Art in many ways with that one. That one didn't bug me too much outside of it was too long, and there was some decisions going, okay, why didn't he just kill Jonathan? He's literally killed literally everyone else that he's just met. Yet Jonathan here, he's just gnawing on his ankles, kind of thing, instead of just acing him. I know he wants to torture him a bit, but there's no implied idea that Jonathan had any powers whatsoever. So then here we get Jonathan, who's kind of been on sideline, going, "Yeah, no, I'm playing it straight. I'm okay. I'm sane." Uh, and then Art is looking for him because he knows he could use him to get to Sienna. And then we cut, and this was the weird. It was the ending of this film. I was hoping it would end different. And I know
yeah,
I've been told, "Oh, Mark, you're getting into it." I'm like, "No, because you have me, and that's like most of the Terrifier films. You've got me, Damien, you've got me in this film. I am all for it. I am giggling at the bathroom scene that people are like, "Oh my God, so shocking." I am chuckling because I have consumed extreme horror for many years. So when I see that, just like at Green Inferno, I'm giggling and chuckling because I'm like, that's awesome gimmick. That looks cool. Okay. But then you get and you kill a major character, supposedly kill a major character off screen. And there's a point where it seemed like everything was a fantasy, or a lot of it was, until it wasn't.
yeah,
you know, and it was part of me going, I wish it was a fantasy, but at the same time, I mad props for you for bucking the expectation. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, so some of this beforehand that was shocking to that was fantasy involving Sienna, but now it's not, and now her uncle's actually dead and hanging crucified in the dining room.
with his head at the top of the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the whole thing, like with her cousin and falling into
Yes,
falling into the pit of whatever.
the Hellmouth, as I called it,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah.
mean, it's kind of what it is. And then she uses her, uh like sword of justice to try and like get her and do it by the blade. And I pointed out to my friends, I'm like, there's a curtain right behind you that probably would have been way better.
My
Like,
son pointed out the same thing. You literally have a busted table with a very sturdy, long table leg you could have given her that she could have grabbed. But no, we're going to give her the sword and we're going to hold it by the blade end to
yeah.
try to pull her up. And I'm like, I understand it's the heat of the moment. She's trying to save her cousin, but at the same time, I'm like, it's right there. It's not like the leg of the chair or whatnot were not
Well,
there.
and it's not only that, it's like her hands are busted. Like
Yeah.
her hands are broken. I mean, yeah, I don't know too much about broken bones other than the fact that usually you aren't able to move your fingers.
Well, she,
But the thing that I really didn't get is when, uh, and again, spoiler kids, when she lets or the sword slips out of her hands because she's got the blade like this, and it's
yes.
like, oh, and Gabby falls in the pit. She's like, I'll find you. And I'm like, or you could just jump
In.
in. I don't know. I mean, she's right there because it
Yeah,
didn't
there's no
close up.
yeah, there was nobody left in the house. The uncle was dead.
Aunt was dead.
Aunt was dead, which she got killed in an awful way using rats, which was wow. I'm like, okay, that's different. I'm like,
I mean, that's the
that's
definition of
medieval.
medieval. Like,
Yeah,
honestly, that is pure medieval.
yeah.
And I mean, I think Victoria was still alive, or was she dead too?
She finally died, yeah, because she was the bridge, that was the whole thing.
Yes.
She was the vessel for the demon,
Yeah.
and Art was the bridge between the other world, the clown town or whatever you wanna call it, and our world, and that's what the
Yes.
demon who was possessing, Victoria was using. She was using Art the clown to stay in here, and then,
And then she turned into mush.
yeah, and that's what opened the Hellmouth because she went
Yes.
back and it opened the Hellmouth. Yeah, and see, and I liked, and that's the thing is, I liked a lot of the decisions and how we get revealed the mythology of how Art and Victoria kind of went dormant until they came across a living being again, a human, and then that woke them up and that went them on their rampage to find Sienna. I like learning a little more mythology. Learning Art is the bridge between a demon and the other world. I like those stories as well, but for me, I'm like, okay, this film is the other one was 2 hours and 18 minutes, which I did sit through to refresh myself. This is 2 hours and 5 minutes. I'm like, we could have got here a little sooner.
A little
And
quicker.
and I personally was hoping they'd kind of wrap it up this trilogy part anyway, a little bit more neatly. And then if they wanted to keep going, they could always pull a rabbit out of their hat later of, someone discovers them or tries to raise Art or whatever you want, because there was opportunity here to actually kind of clean things up. I mean, she stabs Art and he's dead and his eyes go clear because they killed Victoria. So in theory, killing Victoria and stabbing Art, he should lose his immortality and then survive and boom, done. Hey, I've got my cousin. Hooray, happy ending, you know. And then we do this whole
Happy
helm.
ending. Yeah.
Well, well,
As happy as you can get in this film. Yeah.
as happy as you can get with the body count, with
Yeah.
Jonathan apparently just a skull now, and mom sitting as the hotel rat, and then dad hanging up as the new Christmas ornament. Which I did like when she was fighting Art, how Art shoved her face in the carcass of her
Oh,
uncle.
yeah. I mean, seriously, it is brutal. And that's one of the things, and I've said this to a number of people, like when they asked me what I thought of Terrifier 3. One, I think there's no denying that Art the Clown is a horror icon.
He's become one.
And
Yes. Yep.
one of the huge things about that is he has the stoic, silence of
Mhm.
Michael Myers and Jason, but he has that personality of Freddy
Freddy.
and
Mhm.
Chucky. So then you have that synergy together, and he's got that, as the kids call it, Riz. That not a lot of I mean, that's the thing. I mean, he says so much, and that's, you have to give it up to David Howard Thornton. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, absolutely.
he says so much with
Mhm.
his face. I mean, that, oh, kudos, kid. Kudos. Like, it is masterful. And yeah, I mean, I see him and it's like, yeah, dude, you've got it. Like, you've made this character a
Mhm.
freaking star. Like, I mean, I've seen other, I mean, he's so many people I've seen cosplay him. He's amazing to cosplay. They look just like him and stuff like that. But I mean, David Howard Thornton, like the way he just oozes out that person. I mean, it's funny, it's charming, it's heartfelt, it's scary as shit.
Mhm.
It's like menacing, it's just pure evil, all wrapped into this clown that, yeah, can just do anything and
Yeah,
watches
and
anything and will just take it to the next level, because it's like the thing with him, it's like he doesn't just kill, he enjoys the pain.
mhm.
He enjoys the pain from other people watching. He enjoys the pain he's inflicting on the person, on any person. He just enjoys doing that till it gets to the point. But then he also just takes it to like freaking 13. It's not even 11. It's like
No.
13, because he just keeps going, which honestly, to me, it becomes a little much. It's like, oh man, you like really got, it's like, okay, you know what, they're dead, who are they doing this for? I mean, it's like
See,
it's
and
like,
maybe for the average moviegoer, and I'm not speaking for them at all. I'm just saying that maybe the your regular mainstream moviegoer who's curious about Terrifier 3, when they see that, they're grossed out from end to end. And maybe it's my sixth sense of humor. Again, I've admitted it. I was giggling in Green Inferno when we got to the cannibal parts, because I was just like, I'm sitting in a big widescreen major theater watching this type of film. And again, with Terrifier, I'm the same way. But you're right. The gore goes so far to where it's comical.
yeah,
It's literally so over the top. It's trauma-esque gore, because trauma does that. Their gore goes so over the top and so ridiculous, you actually find yourself chuckling. And I was trying to decide watching Terrifier 3 if that is kind of what they were going for with Art being a clown, if Damien's taken it such a level to where you're sitting there, like you said, at least horror fans are starting to chuckle a little bit, because they're just like, oh, come on, like the bathroom. Everybody talks about, oh, the bathroom scene. I was giggling when he cut him in half after he's laid on the bottom, like, and you got to see the steam. I mean, the practical effects are amazing in this.
yeah, practical effects are great.
In all three films, the practical effects, chef's kiss for someone putting that much effort into the gore effects. But it was like, maybe I've just watched too many of these. I'm not too shocked or bothered by this. I think the biggest thing for me was the decision when they made it very in the opening of actually showing the parts of the kid, because I wasn't sure if they were going to show that, and the mall explosion. Outside of those two things, none of the rest of what happened really disturbed me much, because I'm like, this like I'm like you. I'm like, wow, these practical effects are really good. I'm not like sitting there going, oh my God, this is so gross.
Well, and as I said, the scene that bothered me was the
Yeah, yeah.
the
Mhm.
taking care,
Yeah, taking
uh
yeah, and that scene, there's that scene too, yeah, where she's
rubbing the
using a
skittle,
machete.
yeah,
She's using a machete as her, a pleasure tool.
vibrator, yeah,
Yeah,
a pleasure device. What's
a
like,
pleasure device.
no, no,
Okay. Yeah, I was like, "That's okay, hope you got
it's,
some healing powers there."
yeah,
Uh,
no, yeah, no. But to me, I wasn't, I can't say bothered. I wasn't offended by
right.
the beginning.
Mhm.
Uh, I've said what I said, about the scene in the mall. I just don't want someone being stupid and replicating it. I mean, it goes there. That's crazy. But I don't think that there was a scene in this film that went as far as in Terrifier 2 with Sienna's friend in her bedroom that honestly
Oh,
reminded me of
yeah.
something from
Mhm,
it reminded me of Jack the Ripper's last
mhm,
victim. Like,
mhm.
honestly, seeing crime scene photos of that and what Art had done to her
Right.
best friend, like filleting the leg and like you seeing the bone. I mean, I would not be surprised if Damien Leone, like, that was his inspiration for that because it's like,
Mhm.
it's just, she's all cut up. And it's like the fact that she's just even still alive, which I'm like, girl, you probably would die by shock from shock by now. But okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
let that slide.
yeah,
It's like that, the whole getting even up to that,
yeah.
that to me was way worse than anything I think in Terrifier 3.
I'm
Except
gonna
except for the
the
uh
kids stuff, yeah,
fiddle the skittle with
yeah,
the butcher knife up the
yeah,
girl's,
yeah.
the
I
petrified cooch.
I mean,
Yeah, that.
and that's the thing, each film has a few of those moments in it, and like I said, each film, for me, has a few moments in it that I shouldn't say completely pissed me off, but just throw me off because and take a little bit of my enjoyment away from it because I'm like, "Oh, you decided to do this. Mad props for breaking the trope," but sometimes you want that trope. Like in the first one, especially when Art pulled the gun out, that took me out. Now, in the second one, he had a gun, but by then he was in Clown Town. He was more Freddy Krueger and more supernatural. So at that point, it didn't bother me as much. It was mostly the runtime on how some of those scenes could have been cut with 2 for sure, to where I'm like, some of this can be trimmed down to make it really tight. And that was with this one too. I was like, while you do have a lot of gore set pieces and the film moves, the bar scene where he gets the Santa suit, mad props for giving Clint Howard and them more screen time, but at the same time, that scene does go a bit
It
long.
goes way too long, especially with the Santa part. I mean, Daniel Roebuck's scene, I think, goes a little bit too, yeah, that's definitely a little bit long.
It could have been trimmed up. I mean, don't get me wrong. You get where they're going with it, and that's the thing is, it's not like a surprise of where we're going with this because we're like, oh, this is where Art gets the Santa suit, and then you're sitting there. This is where Art gets the Santa suit. It's like this is where Art get you know.
Yeah.
And I know what he was going for, but as far as the film, it slows down with that bar scene. I think for sure. Um, and then a couple of things, like I said, with the mythology, we get the coolest scene, and it was in the trailer. And I, what upset me was the fact that it was just set up for Terrifier 4. It was literally when she gets her vision where she's supposedly down in the Hellmouth area, and you've got the statue of the Virgin Mary with a chain on a hell demon who was forging her actual phoenix armor. I
Yeah.
I I loved the entire image of that scene, the way it looked, the way it played out. I'm like, oh, this is great. She's gonna get some armor. We're gonna get some badass demon fight. And no, we I mean we still get a fight with Art. We still get a very solid but like you said, it's a fight scene to where don't think too hard because you're like, didn't they just smash her hands really good? Yet she's grabbing the sword and doesn't realize she has her heal powers yet. And I'm like, okay. And so it's a little bit of a jumble. And I'm like, he put pieces in place for Terrifier 4. And I guess if anything, that was my biggest thing with this Terrifier 3 was there were parts where we could have tidied things up nicely and really given us a nice solid trilogy of sorts where, end to end, here you go. But instead, we've got elements in here that feel a little forced just for the sake of Terrifier 4.
Yeah.
You
And I
know,
mean, so yeah, and speaking of the budget, like from the second one, it cost $250,000. It ended up making $15,740,000. So it's got a 3,900% ROI,
Oh
return on
yeah,
investment. So this one
was 2 million, wasn't it?
budget, yeah, the budget was 2 million, and I would get that's probably for the cast, because I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
again, I feel like the practical effects, there was more in the practical effects in the second one than this, but I could be wrong. I mean, slitting up a guy's dick probably costs a lot of money.
I was gonna say a
Um,
full body guy body is a little expensive, full
yeah,
butt than that. So
but opening weekend alone was
yeah,
18,928,000. So that's even more than two made all together.
yeah.
And now, after 3 weeks, because it came out October 11th, it's made over $55 million.
Highest grossing
So,
unrated film, NC-17 unrated
yeah.
film, the highest
And
grossing of all time now.
while it is, grotesque and disturbing, and it breaks the rules. It doesn't have that. I mean, it kind of reminds me of Wes Craven in the 70s, where it's like,
Mhm.
oh, it'll be fine because oh no, that person just died.
Yeah,
Okay, so, well, shit. Then I don't know what's going to happen. It's like, they're going Game of Thrones style. It's like, yeah, nobody's safe. And I mean, I respect that. I think that uh is it Lauren Lavera,
oh my god,
excellent
she's the reason.
final girl. She is, I mean, she's fantastic. She's absolutely amazing. She's, for the horror films and all that stuff. She's a great actor. She does her own stunts because she's got that training and everything. She can convey the emotions that need to be conveyed, because she's like, look, I'm trying to tell you something. And they make sure, to supply the film with different people who know what they're doing. There
Yeah,
aren't, especially in the beginning, you need to have a solid family dynamic with those. Like, that little girl is great. Chrissy Fox was great as the mom. I mean, most of the time these people are sleeping, so it's not,
mhm.
it's like, okay, act like you're awake. But it's it's solid act. It's
Mhm.
decent, solid acting, amazing practical effects. Still a little long, definitely overkill. I mean,
Yeah,
again, it's like, we get it. They're dead. You're making them into sushi or something. I don't know what's going on, but wow, you're just really sticking it to them. And that's the thing that Terrifier is basically known. I mean, besides Art the Clown, it's the overkill.
yeah.
And I don't see that stopping anytime soon
No.
whatsoever.
Mhm.
I hope that he just keeps it, nice and tight. I think, I mean, he's the one, this is his baby. He's one of the reasons why the budget has been down is, like, I mean, he's writing, he's directing, he's the one doing the practical effects. I
Yeah.
mean, he's got a lot of slashes, regarding this. So I think, that's what he's going to keep doing, to keep it down and
Mhm.
make sure that whatever happens, we get Art the Clown doing his thing. Just keep on having David Howard Thornton, because honestly, besides people doing the cosplay of him, no one can do what he does. Like, he
Yeah.
is, again, a horror icon. And yeah, I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with 4. Believe me, there are a number of people who want Jonathan to live. They find him very attractive, and they do not want to see him dead. It's like, I have hope. I don't think he died. I'm like, I think he did.
I
So
see, and that's the thing is part of me is like, I hope he didn't die. And the way he set it up, if he gets probably enough fan or if he sees enough buzz, maybe he can tailor it. But for me, I almost wish he did, because at least I will. While I don't like the idea personally, I just don't like that type of thing when you take a main character like that and kill him off screen, or like Hostel did. The guy survived all of Hostel 1, and you kill him off within the first 8 minutes of Hostel 2. I that part bugs me, but that's just my personal taste. But overall, as a bold decision for a wide release popular film, kudos to Damien for the decisions he's made. a lot of my criticism to the series or whatever is one, just I know where his influences come from because I'm old and I've watched a lot of extreme horror. So I'm like, oh, he got this from here, he got this from here. Not in a bad way, but I'm just like, but the newer generation, who these are made for, have been raised on PG-13 horror for so long
Yeah.
that they're getting something like this and they're shocked, but also the little horror fan in them's going, give me more. That's why this series has taken off like it is, because you've got someone who's got the right formula, who's bringing these extreme elements that many of us older horror fans have been growing up for years on and introducing them to a new group who have not seen a lot of things like this or things like Art the Clown, and mad props to him for that. Again, for me, I gave Terrifier 3, I think 3.5 or whatnot. Now I'll stand by it. It's what I've rated most of the Terrifier series. I've really enjoyed them. They're solid films. I like my gory horror done a little bit differently as far as story wise, but if he can make the next one trimmed up and he leans into that fantasy stuff even more, like where we actually get to see her in the armor and maybe fight, like, do some major fighting with Art even
Yeah.
more than what we get in Terrifier 3, I'll be all in, whether or not Jonathan's alive or not. Maybe Jonathan comes back as a ghost because we're dealing with supernatural here. Jonathan could come back. He could be in the Hellmouth world. Who knows? Maybe Art's got his soul somewhere. Uh,
I would like, as long as they like, I don't know, the whole thing, like just rewatching 2, it was very interesting to rewatch 2 and see Sienna and Jonathan with their mom, and Sienna yelling at Jonathan for even thinking about being Art the Clown. And then within 12, I think within 24 hours, then Jonathan like found his dad's
sure.
notebook
Yeah.
that has all these drawings in it. And I'm like, that's very coincidental that you just happen to find that right now. And yet you did. I mean, because his dad's been dead for a while.
Well,
The dad's been dead even before Art the Clown showed up. So the fact that he like just found it, because I don't think he just died.
No, he had it. No, but he had the book for a while, I think. I
Yeah.
got the impression. He had it for a while. He hadn't just found it at the movie. He did have it for a while because she said she had been looking for it. So
Yeah, but it's just the fact that it's like,
yeah,
Jonathan's into serial killers. Like, that's, I mean,
it's movie.
welcome to half the people that I know.
It's movie coincidence. It's
movie coincidence. Like, look at this, and it's like, and then in this one, it's like, then you're seeing Jason Patrick like have these like visions or something. I kind of want to know more where that's coming from. Like, is he like a fallen angel that he's like then given his powers to his daughter to like help combat another fallen angel that's just evil or something like that ends up being dressed up like a clown? I don't know. We'll see. Who do I need to have a backstory for with Art the Clown? Honestly, no. I kind of liked it that he was just this like psycho guy who's just killing people. At the same time, in one, they were really obnoxious girls. And like jumping on his lap and like doing selfies and all that stuff. I'm like, I'm not saying you had to be bone tomahawked, but I wasn't surprised when you got what you got. I'm definitely not that far, but it's like, you're taking you're a beautiful girl, but it's like, oh, you're taking that step too far. I think again, Art the Clown, he's the horror icon that I think horror really needs right now. He's a new face. He's bright and new and shiny, and has again that charisma that is going to keep this genre going, and definitely this series going for a while. Because I mean, David Howard Thornton is not too I think, I don't even know if he's 40 and stuff like that. So I mean, he's probably got a good decade to 2 decades
at least
before, at least before.
Oh yeah.
Like, So get prepared, kid. Make sure you're getting your money's worth.
And
But
for
yeah,
me,
I thought this was for what it is, with I
mhm,
mean, as long as you know that there's overkill, there's blood, if you are a med student, you may learn a lot about anatomy. This will be great for your anatomy class and stuff like that. And it was decent entertainment. Definitely no with the machete up the cooch, but or knife up the cooch, but I mean, other than that, it's definitely going to shock people, and that's what it's all about. And I, will probably see number four. I mean, just the fact again, this is truly independent,
yeah.
like no studios,
Mm.
nothing like this. So the fact that it's made what it's made, I have to give it credit for that. Like that is amazing. Whether people like it or not and stuff like that, that means people are coming to the theater. The horror fans have spoken. They're telling you what it is. And I mean,
What 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 I
let's
what I'm hoping for is it brings back the R-rated horror film. It doesn't
yeah,
have to be NC-17. I don't need to have every new released horror film uh be R-rated or extra gory. No. But that said, considering the amount of horror films I watched in the past year that didn't have a body count or had
yeah.
maybe one person killed out of the whole and the others were just put in the hospital, and a lot of the times you didn't even see what happened to him. That person, you just find them killed afterwards. I mean, Smile pushed it a little bit, don't get me wrong. Smile is kind of that evidence that I think between the Smile and especially Terrifier, though, I'm hoping it makes studios and such realize, one, take a chance on the indies. That's what you've been doing for a while, and look what happens. And two, I hope it brings back the more darker horror films than the more sanitized stuff that we had getting overall. And I know there's exceptions. I know, folks, but I'm talking about wide release horror. I'm talking about
Yeah.
like the big screen, 1,000 screen release horror for the most part has been sanitized over the years. I mean, yeah, we got the Halloween series, but even then, nothing like art, nothing that extreme that we have here. And while I don't want every horror to be extreme, I do want us to explore a little bit of those darker stories or not be afraid to, now that you know. And in all honesty, I think this shows that there is an audience for it, and there's money to be made on making a darker horror film that's not afraid to take some chances. I think that's what film horror fans want. And finally, and I'll get off my soapbox, if this opens up them to the world of maybe I should look back at earlier films before 2000 to look at some extreme horror. I got a list for you you can look at, folks, that are just in the same vein as Terrifier that have been out there for ages. you know,
Well, and it's funny because when you were saying it's like, people are used to PG-13 and all that stuff. Let's be clear here, kids. PG-13 when I was growing up is far
are
different.
different.
This PG-13 that you guys have ain't nothing compared to PG. I mean, even PG that we had. I
Oh,
mean,
for Christ's
TV
sake.
miniseries that we had still haunt people that are in their like 30s, 40s, and 50s because it's like, what did you guys let us watch? I mean, this is ridiculous. Yeah. So the PG-13 that you guys have is basically G and below what we had growing up,
Compare
um,
that.
and all that. So you're lucky. Believe me, it's like, again, I don't even know how they let us watch what they let us watch as kids. It was fucked up. We
It
watched some majorly messed up stuff as
it was.
children that still probably have scarred a number of us, to our core.
Or
But yeah,
or influenced filmmakers.
yeah, or influenced. Yeah,
There you go.
scarred,
Influence.
influenced, whatever.
Same
Potatoes,
difference.
potatoes, carrots. I don't know.
Well, thank you, Katie. I hope everyone enjoyed this discussion. Again, don't get wrong in my comments. I enjoyed the Terrifier series. It's just one of those to where I was not as blown away as many, but that's only because I'm older and I've watched films like this. It's fun though to go back to the theater on a wide release, 1,000 screen release, whatever it was, or get an expanded release, go to it and sit in a theater and experience with other people and kind of chuckle at people's responses going, "Oh, if you think this is wild, I got a list for you." Okay.
Yeah.
So, kudos for Damien. I only ask, not that he'll watch this at all, is stick with the practical effects, stick with the lower budget, and please trim it up. Please give me 100-minute film. I'd be happy with 106-minute, that golden time of 106, 101-minute film. Boom, right there. Lean, mean, gory machine. There you go.
Keep
Uh,
it tight.
keep
Keep
it
it
tight.
tight. Keep it
Pack it
tight.
tight. That's right.
Yeah.
Pack it tight.
Peg it tight. Yeah.
Katie, where can they find you at?
You can find me at the blonde in front because my blondness will be coming back. It's a little buzz still now. The blonde in front on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And then I also guest on a number of vlogs and podcasts, but I always put those on my Instagram, Facebook, and other social media sites.
Fantastic. Well, Katie, always a pleasure to do these spoiler reviews for you. Folks, what do you think of Terrifier 3? Leave your comments down below. And yeah, until next time, as I always like to say, keep that ticket stub.